sinks right through that little thin metal. There we go. Give this a try here. Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel here, and today I got a pretty neat loan from my twin brother. He's a big Tomahawk guy and he's been asking me to review some of his Tomahawks, and so the first one that he sent me is the CRKT Kangee T-Hawk. And you know, this generally don't really appeal to me a whole lot. I kind of like more of a woodsy type tool, but where I'm not generally much of a tactical Tomahawk type of guy. However, this thing is pretty damn cool. Like I haven't hardly used it yet, but I could already tell I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. So let's give the CRKT Kangee T-Hawk a run for its money. Okay, before I go through the whole Kangee T-Hawk breakdown here, I'm gonna just go over some of the technical specs. It just has, I'm wanting to say it's Grivery handles, but I could be wrong. It might be some kind of other plastic, but they're textured, so they're not bad. It's made of SK5 carbon steel, which if I recall right, that's very comparable to like 1070 high carbon, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's designed by RMJ, which if you've ever looked up some of the RMJ Tomahawks, they're pretty nice, but they're like $500–600 Tomahawks. I could never justify spending one. I'd rather buy a gun for that money. And it comes with a pretty neat little Kydex sheath. I got just a tech lock on there to attach it onto my molly webbing. But I got a couple quick branches to cut down, so let's start testing this bad boy out. Alright, so I'm working on just my shelter here, but I got a couple branches here that's in the way, so I'm going to test this CRKT Kangee T-Hawk and get them out of my way here. Cedar don't really like to cut very well, it just likes to snap. That's why I almost like using the saw, but testing out this Tomahawk here. Alright, well, not too bad. We'll test it out a little bit more. Alright, so I'm using the CRKT Kangee T-Hawk. I gotta clear out some of these little trees around here so I can make my lean-to for my shelter. Everything's extremely wet and bouncy out here too. I'm not sure if it's just a Tomahawk that's having a hard time cutting, or if it's just everything's torrentially damp. I know I got this thing hair shaving sharp, so I don't think it's edge. One here. Not too bad, not too bad at all. I'm going to use this cedar that I just cut down for one of my poles for my lean-to, so I might as well delimit real quick. And I got the CRKT Kangee T-Hawk in hand. Get that little guy out of the way without cutting my hand off here. Of course, I'm going to have to pick all these limbs up when I'm done. I ain't doing too bad really for this. Now, obviously, I'll just make this quick note. This is not going to be a heavy chopper. It's only like, I'm wanting to say it's right around a foot long. I can't remember. I might post some of the technical specs, but it's hatchet size. I mean, it's a small Tomahawk, but for some of the smaller stuff like this, it's going to do quite well. And mind you, this is meant to be more of a tactical Tomahawk too. You know, have some Ricky Recon multicam covered wannabe covered in Molly head to toe with his Molly underwear, with his RMJ Kangee T-Hawk mollied onto his jock strap. Fuck yeah. Alright, one thing I'm going to mess with this Kangee T-Hawk here is I'm going to see how well I can make some steaks. Usually that's how I make steaks, with axes and knives. Pretty decent, really. I mean, you don't gotta be perfect if you're just gonna jab it into the ground, but yeah. Alright, here's a second 10 chop test. This is something that's not quite so dead and rotten and stuff, but let's give this a try here. Not too terrible, not too terrible. I mean, not the best, obviously. I, in all honesty, probably have some big knives that could probably chop a little better than that. Might have to give that a second shot because I don't want to do this thing any unfair justice here, because I like this thing a lot, but I think wood's use is not what this thing's calling is for. Although if you had to use it, definitely can work. But let me try another 10 chops real quick. Let me just see if I can open up a can of man. Well, a little better, not by much. Spike, wonder how well it'll go into this harder wood here. If I don't, it's not wanting to stick in at all. That wood is pretty hard. Makes a pretty big nasty gouge, but may do a couple other little tests out here. Alright, so while I'm out here in the woods, one thing that this Tomahawk is being just begged to have done to it is to throw it. However, I absolutely kind of suck at throwing, so I'm going to attempt this, but do not whatsoever judge the Tomahawk based on my piss poor performance, because I really kind of suck at this. I'm not going to lie. Well, I hit on the top edge of it. Oh, damn, it was just about there. Give this one more try here, and I might find a different tree. Oh, there we go. Got it finally. Hell, that didn't even stick in straight, but stuck right in there. Kinda was a glancing blow into there, but it did. Getting it to stick pretty regularly, you know, maybe I'm not all that bad at it. Oh! There we go. There we go. I think I'm going to stop on a good note. Alright, so another thing that this Kangee T-Hawk is just begging to have done with it is just, well, it's more than obvious what this thing is designed for. It's not much of a woods tool, though it will work if you have to use it or you're stuck with it. However, this thing's a tactical tomahawk. This thing is meant to fight and kill and destroy and tear shit up. I mean, that's obviously what it's designed for. It's full tang. Spike on it don't really lend itself real well out in the woods. The head's not real heavy enough to do a lot of heavy chopping. However, it's very fast and very nimble. So, got my good old trusty cedar tree that I like to smack the shit out of. Let's give it a go. A little bit of that spike action in there. You can almost even thrust with this thing if you had to. Just that hook right there on the end of the handle, when just flailing it, really does hold you in. You could either grip it here, grip it up here. I could even try gripping up here if like things are real close and just nasty and just. Or if you want to get some distance. You could almost even grapple with this thing if you just had to. Just start punching with it. Pretty nasty little tool or weapon if need be. Thus far, I'm really liking this thing, even though it's not exactly my cup of tea. I'm kind of more of a woods tool type of guy, but I like other kinds of weapons, and I'm really liking this bad boy too. You know what? I really hate hedge apples too, so I'm going to do some tip testing with the spike and even just some prying with this CRKT here. Now let me try the main edge here. Tip is pretty good. The edge, still pretty good. Okay, so another thing you can do with your CRKT Kangee T-Hawk here is you can choke up pretty good, and like I was showing earlier, you can, you know, punch and grapple with it. But for bush needs, you could actually even choke up on it. And hell, I'm making some pretty decent feather sticks. Let me get you guys in on this a little bit more here. not very comfortable on your hand to do like this. All the sharp little ridge right there likes to dig in. That little sharp ridge, I almost wish I left that open more on this. It would lend itself to be a little bit more practical tool for this matter. But if you had to, can do it. Just wouldn't want to do it for very long, that's for sure. But you can make some feathers with the CRKT Kangee T-Hawk. Alright, so I've ran this CRKT Kangee T-Hawk through just about every test I'm going to do, but there's one last thing I'm going to do with it, and that is, this thing's obviously meant to be a tactical tool on the refrigerator here, so I'm going to test this thing out. Let's do this. That's right. That is, if you don't get it stuck. It sinks right through that little thin metal. Spike goes right in there. Yeah, you can probably easily breach a door with this damn thing if you had to. Alright, so I'm going to test this out on this old rotten tin. This is actually 3 layers of tin, but pretty rotten and stuff, so I'm just going to see if I can jab that spike through there. Oh, that's quite a bit harder. There we go. Yeah, it's sticking in real good. Alright, I'm not going to use the main edge for that. Don't want to tear it up. But, I mean, using it on that refrigerator door, edge holds up pretty good. Pretty impressed with this SK5. Well, my friends, I've kind of knocked the crap out of the CRKT Kangee T-Hawk here. Hacked through metal, hacked through wood, did some kind of bushcrafty type of stuff with it. I did some kind of more tactical prying and tearing shit up with it. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with this thing, really. I mean, I don't even think they're that expensive anymore. I know when they first came out, they were kind of, I think, overpriced. But I think last time I looked at them, they're like $80 on Amazon or something, so they're not even all that bad now. But this SK5 steel holds up pretty well for a Tomahawk steel. Like I said, I think it's similar to 1070, but I'm not exactly for sure on that. But yeah, overall, would I suggest this thing? Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be the best bush tool by no means. It's a little small, and more so, it's not very heavy in the end, just because it's a full tank tactical Tomahawk. So that, I mean, that's just what it is. However, if you're like a soldier or somebody kicking in doors or something like that, then, you know, this thing might actually do pretty well. I mean, and obviously if you're preparing for the zombie apocalypse, which, you know, I think is kind of silly, but hell, this thing would do a hell of a job. I mean, it's pretty quick in hand. It's almost as quick as a big knife, and it can thrash the hell out of whatever you hack with it. So yeah, I would heavily advise getting this thing, even if you just think it's cool and it's a cool toy. It's definitely a cool toy. You're gonna be able to thrash on things and tear it up and have a little bit of fun with it as well. So with all that being said, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.